And it's not just a question of using neuroimaging and or neurogenetics to depict what's going on in the brains, literally from the genes to the level of its structure to the expression of its functions. But if I can drift into what appears to be bellicose or military terminology, but to target those things, targets to affect those things, developing improved means and much more stereospecific approaches to accessing the brain, not crudely, but ever more creatively, not just highly invasively, increasingly non-invasive, utilizing other forms of technology and engineering, such as nanoparticulate matter that we can then create into sensors and transmitters that can be inhaled, ingested, rubbed on, that can then be migrated into the brain to form vast arrays of sensors and transmitters to be able to read information from the living brain and write information into the living brain in real time remotely. This is a current project of the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency here in the United States called ENDGAME, Next Generation Non-Invasive Neuromodulation. But wait a minute. If what we're doing is literally taking information, data from the living brain, extracting it in real time, interpreting it, and in those interpretations, imbuing those data with meaning, that's a literal definition for reading. We're reading the functions of the brain, which we call mind. That's mind reading. Because if in fact that same technology that allows us to literally read the mind by scanning and interpreting the data we get from the structures and functions of the brain, and the inverse of that is that we can then write into the living brain, that's mind control. We love to think that one of the things that we always do with these types of data are aim them towards the good.
The reason that all your computer screens are blue lit, the reason none of them are red lit, the reason none of them pay attention to circadian biology is because that original technology was developed in a government program that Bobby Kennedy knows about, and I happen to know about because I went to medical school at LSU. For those of you who've never heard about Operation Paperclip, you think it's all conspiracy theory. So at Tulane Neurology and Tulane Neurosurgery in the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s, the CIA started a program there where they would do all these crazy things to monkeys. The CIA wanted to see how they could control things utilizing different things like drugs and things like that. But the neurosurgeons got involved, which is my clade. We would drill tops of the heads off, put wires into the thalamus, put electricity in there, and kind of see what kind of behavioral changes we could have. One of the guys that was in that program was a guy named Professor Delgado. When he saw that we could control the behavior with the wired device, he said, what if we do it wirelessly? So he checked it in monkeys and checked it in bulls, and it turned out you can do it wirelessly with RFID chips and semiconductors. Then the CIA took it to the next level. They said, well, since this is electromagnetic radiation, what if we did it through light through screens? And it turns out you can. And that's the reason why all your computer screens have the frequencies they have. So why is this all important? Well, the person that set this meeting up between me and Bobby is the patent attorney that made sure that Google and Meta have those things so they can control the things that we all do. Where did the original idea come from that started off in MK Ultra with the CIA? You're going to be surprised when you hear this. It came from the mafia in Las Vegas. They wanted to build a new city in a desert. They enclosed it all, blacked out the windows, invented slot machines that were blue lit. And they found out that they didn't have to take a gun, stick it in your face to steal your money. Then they even got smart. They said, let's give people free alcohol while they're doing that. And they found out they got the money quicker. And that's when the CIA got the idea to start this program. That's really how it started.
And there you have it. Mind control. Mind control. And you wonder why the government is always trying to control your mind. Well, simple. If they can control your mind, then they can have you do whatever it is that they want to do. That is basically what mind control is. And they've been doing that. The first clip you saw, he goes into how nanoparticulates, which can be inhaled, can be absorbed through the skin, all kinds of various ways, can be ingested, and they go to your brain and form all kinds of patterns. And now this clip is talking about how our computers, not only our computers, but our phones, have this blue light on them. So that is like the trigger. If you saw the new movie Captain America that came out, they showed you exactly this in Captain America. They've already experimented on these individuals, be it through the nano robots and sensors and things of that nature that they've had you ingested in one way or another, right? And then when the time comes, they activate you or they trigger you through the phones. That's exactly what they did in Captain America. We've already done the experiment on the individuals, and when the time came, they used their phones. The lights were blinking. They showed you that. If you haven't seen the movie, check it out. You see exactly what I'm telling you now. The lights blinks, and then they take over the minds of those people. Another way to do it is through radio frequencies. There's some particular kinds of songs that play, and then it activates the minds of those people, right? Movies like Manchurian Candidate with Denzel Washington and the actor that played Ray Donovan, right? It's all about mind control, because this is the end game. The end game is to get into your minds. Hence why Elon Musk is doing his Neuralink thing, right? Because it is the need to get into your mind. The first clip you saw, the individuals, kind of like being facetious, talking about how, it's not really evasive what they are doing, non-evasive. Well, when you're trying to get into somebody's head, how much evasive can you be, right? How much invasive can you be, right? You're invading their private territory right there, trying to get into somebody's minds, right? And read, that's exactly the words he used, to read your minds, to read your thoughts. So if they can do that, guess what? They can put in thoughts also. It goes both ways. If they can read your thoughts, they can send signals to your head and read your thoughts. And you understand why there's been a push for you to either get the jabby jabs, and they've been spraying like crazy with the chemtrails and things. It's like every other day. It used to be, at least they give it like 2 weeks or what. Now it's just every other day they're spraying like crazy. Because why? They have all this nanoparticulates that you will inhale and things like that. Have little robots, right? Which is exactly what was in the jabby jabs also. You see, it is all about mind control. That's what the clips you're seeing here. And he mentioned about Operation Paperclips and whatnots, right? Which brings us here real quick. The word government means mind control in Latin. It says, on ATS, we are always at odds with what our governments do to us and how they abuse their powers. So I figured, why not get right down to the basics? I thought to myself, what does the word government mean? And not the English definition, but the true Latin origins. Says, I'm not expert on Latin, but maybe some ATS experts in Latin could help me out a bit if I'm not on track here. It says, now here's my take on what I think government and its translations into Latin is. What I did was split the word into two and looked for the closest Latin matches. Gubernare, it says, for government, gubernare for government, and mentis for the suffix or ending ment. Here is where it gets really interesting. Gubernare means to control. Verb, conjugations. First conjugation, definition: steer, drive, pilot, direct, manage, conduct, guide, control, govern. It says, and now for the suffix, mentis means mind. Now, declension, third declension, gender, feminine definition, courage, mind, plan, intention, frame of mind, reason, intellect, judgment. So you understand why the government wants to control your mind, because it's right there in the meaning, mind control, right? Mind control. MK Ultra, CIA has been found out doing all kinds of MK Ultra and non-willing participants, if you will, right? I mean, it's under conspiracy theories. The evidence is out there in the ether. Way back when, I believe probably like in the 70s or something like that, they were performing mind control on the people. They had to use LSDs and some movies and play it over and over and over and over again to get in your head. That's why you have a lot of the celebrities that wear they call it the Monarch MK Ultra. They wear the butterflies to show forth that their minds have already been invaded, right? And before we go any further, all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Hakodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught us this truth and continue to teach us this truth. Peace, salutation, shalom, shalom, shalom to all your brothers and sisters out there that are of the household of faith, beginning with 144,000 mighty men of the house of Israel, down to the men, women, and children that are allotted to be delivered, and to the brothers that are pushing the gospel in all sincerity and all honesty. To you all, I say shalom. Yeah, going back to the mind control thing, like I said, the movie Captain America, you should check it out. It has, they have that revelation method. They always got to show you what they're doing, in one way, shape, or form. So it's not left for you to dismiss it as just, it was in the movies. Oh, you saw, somebody tell you about it. They say, oh, you just saw it in the movies. Just because you saw it in the movies doesn't make it a lie, right? Because that's what they do. They lie to you on the news, and then they tell you the truth of what they're doing in movies. There's a reason they spend all kinds of millions of dollars to make these movies, right? It's not just to entertain you. It's to tell you about something. The mind control that have been making you docile, living using something as simple as fluoridated water, right? Like it says here, the control mentees, the control part of it says courage. Even your courage is being manipulated. Your plan, your intentions, your frame of mind, your intellect, your judgment is being impaired, right? And they started out small with something as fluoridated water, right? The power of suggestions, right? Through media, through ads. You watch some ads, all of a sudden you want to eat something you saw on the ads. Why is that? That's a miniaturized or a minute form of mind control, right? I mean, you weren't hungry, you weren't even thinking about eating some kind of burger, but you just saw the ads, all of a sudden you want to eat those juicy burgers you saw on the ads. What do you think that is? That in some way, shape, or form, a very easy way to control your mind, right? And now they're trying to be super invasive with it, with the nanoparticles and the RFID chip. Even the second clip you saw, he mentioned Jose Delgado when they were experimenting on animals. They put a chip in a bull, right? And then they hit the right electric frequencies. The bull was charging at somebody, and I've seen the clip too. I posted it in one of my old YouTube channels that got deleted. So the bull was charging at somebody. All of a sudden, it just became docile because they hit those frequencies, and it mind controlled the bull to just stop dead at its tracks. You see? So that's what it is. So the government part is the control. The governare, the govern, means to control, right? To govern something. Like it says here, steer, drive, pilot, direct, manage, conduct, guide, control, right? And the mentees part is the mind part, the ment, right? And you should be aware of these things, you should know about these things. It's not like something you can just be willfully ignorant of, which brings us here in Ecclesiasticus, the 5th chapter and the 15th verse. It says, be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small. So you have to be aware of these things, to know about things like this. Like you hear Agent Smith right here, I had old clips of him talking about, if I can find that clip, I used to have another clip of him talking about how they can cause. Here, this is the same guy. Here.
And what you'll discover soon is
certain drugs across the proliferant barrier, which is the blood-brain barrier and cerebrospinal fluid barrier. So I get these things where they got to go. But I can also utilize nanoparticulate matter in a very indiscriminate way. The idea here is that I can get something called high CNS aggregation material that is essentially invisible to the naked eye and even to most scanners because it is so small that it selectively goes through most levels of filter porosity. These are then inhaled either through the nasal mucosa or absorbed through the oral mucosa. They have high CNS affinity. They clump in the brain or in the vasculature, and they create essentially what looks like a hemorrhagic diathesis, in other words, a hemorrhage predisposition or a clot predisposition in the brain. What I've done is I've created a stroking agent.
what Agent Smith has done here is talk about deploying invisible weapons, silent weapons to cause strokes. And what you'll discover soon is heart attacks. They're attacking the hearts and minds.
There you go again, the hearts and minds, just like we're going into about the mind control. And this is the same individual, we'll go back to that clip.
Of the American people and of dissidents. They're releasing all sorts of nanotoxins to make people sick. Invisible weapons. This is what they specialize in. And not only are they using chemicals and biologicals, but also energy weapons. You're about to discover how deep this rabbit hole goes, but it's beyond insanity. It's beyond Dr. Evil.
We can also utilize these interventional technologies in those ways that may able to directly affect the brain. Probably the one that you've heard about most recently, most contemporaneously in the literature, is the possibility to use some form of directed energy to affect physiology peripherally and also to affect the physiology and health of the brain. Really, one of the things we can also do is transcranial neuromodulation, the idea of going through the skull to modulate the node and network activity of the brain, to optimize the performance of key individuals in certain tasks and performances that are relative to their missional space. And we can also do that against hostile or perhaps belligerent.
There you have it, going into the brain, right? He mentioned either by the aerosols, using having you orally ingest this stuff or breathe it in through your nose, or they can just directly do Elon Musk on you, put a neural link in your brain, and it can cause strokes. It can give you a stroke and you die right there, because you convince your mind of something, it becomes that. And this is the same individual right here.
And it's not just a question of using neuroimaging and or neurogenetics to depict what's going on in the brains, literally from the genes to the level of its structure to the expression of its functions. But if I can drift into what appears to be bellicose or military terminology, but to target those things, targets to affect those things, developing improved means and much more stereospecific approaches to accessing the brain. Not crudely, but ever more creatively.
Not crudely. See, this is how they get at you. Oh, not crudely, but ever more creatively, right? Here it is. You're trying to get in somebody's head. How much crude do you have to be? The fact alone that you're trying to get into somebody's head is crude, no matter how the means you're looking to achieve, right? And let's tell you about this. He goes on to talk about non-invasive and
not just highly invasively, increasingly non-invasive, utilizing.
how come? How is it not invasive? You get into somebody's head. It's like somebody trying to grape a woman. Here it is. You've already put your weenie into her thing, and you're saying, "Oh, I'm not trying to be invasive. I'm just, being creative about it." Well, you just, without her consent, she told you no, and here you are, graping her, and you're saying, "Oh, I'm just being creative about it." That's essentially what he's talking about here, trying to get in somebody's head, but it's not really invasive. It's just being creative. Crazy, right?
Other forms of technology and engineering, such as nanoparticulate matter that we can then create into sensors and transmitters that can be inhaled, ingested, rubbed on, that can then be migrated into the brain to form vast arrays of sensors and transmitters to be able to read information from the living brain and write information into the living brain in real time.
There you have it. So they can read your thoughts and beam thoughts into your mind. See? Beam thought, that is the real crazy. How it is you're able to do this and you're talking about it's non-invasive. How come? How come? You can read somebody's thoughts and control their thoughts and tell them what and what not to do. That is crazy invasive right there. But hey, let him.
Remotely. This is a current project of the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency here in the United States called NCUBE, Next Generation Non-Invasive Neuromodulation. But wait a minute. If what we're doing is literally taking information, data from the living brain, extracting it in real time, interpreting it, and in those interpretations, imbuing those data with meaning, that's a literal definition for reading. We're reading the functions of the brain, which we call mind. That's mind reading. Because if, in fact, that same technology that allows us to literally read the mind by scanning and interpreting the data we get from the structures and functions of the brain, and the inverse of that is that we can then write into the living brain, that's mind control.
Right there.
Love to think that one of the things that we always do with these types of data are aim them towards the good. Oh.
You see? Even he himself is like, oh shit, we're full of shit, right? Here it is, we're mind controlling the people, and somehow we're trying to tell them it's for the good. How is it for the good? Because you can do anything if you can beam thoughts into somebody's mind. You can practically turn them into a weapon. You can tell them to just go off themselves.
The reason that all your computer screens are blue lit, the reason none of them are red lit, the reason none of them pay attention to circadian biology is because that original technology was developed in a government program that Bobby Kennedy knows about, and I happen to know about because I went to medical school at LSU. For those of you who've never heard about Operation Paperclip, you think it's all conspiracy theory. So at Tulane Neurology and Tulane Neurosurgery in the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s, the CIA started a program there where they would do all these crazy things to monkeys. The CIA wanted to see how they could control things utilizing different things like drugs and things like that. But the neurosurgeons got involved, which is my clade. We would drill tops of the heads off, put wires into the thalamus, put electricity in there, and kind of see what kind of behavioral changes we could have. One of the guys that was in that program was a guy named Professor Delgado. When he saw that we could control the behavior with the wired device, he said, what if we do it wirelessly? So he checked it in monkeys and checked it in bulls, and it turned out you can do it wirelessly with RFID chips and semiconductors. Then the CIA took it to the next level. They said, well, since this is electromagnetic radiation, what if we did it through light through screens? And it turns out you can. And And that's the reason why all your computer screens have the frequencies they have. So why is this all important? Well, the person that set this meeting up between me and Bobby is the patent attorney that made sure that Google and Meta have those things so they can control the things that we all do. Where did the original idea come from that started off in MK Ultra with the CIA? You're going to be surprised when you hear this. It came from the mafia in Las Vegas. They wanted to build a new city in a desert. They enclosed it all, blacked out the windows, invented slot machines that were blue lit. And they found out that they didn't have to take a gun, stick it in your face to steal your money. Then they even got smarter. They said, let's give people free alcohol while they're doing that. And they found out they got the money quicker. And that's when the CIA got the idea to start this program. That's really how it started.
So there you have it. There you have it. So now they've weaponized your computers. There's a reason why this stuff, there's always a new version of these computers and this on your phones and things, because they're upgrading the mind control aspect of it. You know, they're not doing it for, your convenience. Nah, they're doing it to get in your head. Like I said, if you haven't checked out the movie Captain America, the new one, man, you gotta have to check it out, because it show you there is all about mind control. And the individual that is doing the mind controlling, his brain is literally out of his skull. He looks like the individual, if you watch the anime Invincible, right? Invisible, or is it Invincible? I think Invincible, right? Invincible, yeah. You know, the dude that has his brains is like coming out of his skull, right? That's exactly what the individual is. And using these tactics to control the minds of the people. This is what this individual is going into here. So they've been doing all kinds of trials and errors to find out the best possible ways to get in your head. Because if they can get in your head, it's a wrap. Brings us back here again in Ecclesiasticus, the 5th chapter and the 15th verse. Be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small. You gotta know things, man. You gotta stay on your tippy toes to understand what it is that is going on around you. This is a 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter, and the 3rd verse. It says, look, let no man deceive you by any means. Don't be deceived to have you thinking that somebody getting into your head is actually something good. Nah, it's never anything good. Never will be. So for that day shall not come except they come and falling away first. This is going into the history where the biblical Israelites fell away during when the Roman Empire besieged Jerusalem, during 69, 70 AD, and then they were the scattering of the biblical Israelites that fell away from the heritage, they fell away from who they are. That's what this is going into. It says, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Who is that? Well, the wicked Edomites, who are the elitists of the world today. They are the wicked elites that run the whole show. These are the ones that are trying to get into your head. Why would they want to do that? Well, the 4th verse says, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God. So in their minds, they are the new gods. And for them to be the new gods, well, the God of the Bible, right, the true biblical God, he can read and control your mind. That's one of the powerful things about the God of the Bible, because he created our minds, right? He created our minds. He can do whatever he wants with it. So for them to be God, like he says here, who oppose it, who is the one? The wicked elites, the Rockefellers, the Rothschild, the Oppenheimers, right? The DuPonts, the Gettys, the wicked Edomites that run the show. So they are the ones who oppose it and exalted himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. So what is the temple of God? We are the temple, right? We are the temple, and your mind is where the Most High sits. You're going into your third eye and things like that, right? Your mind is where the Most High sits. This is where you get information, right? This is where you analyze things in your mind. So that is a temple. You're looking to sit in the temple of God by using the clips of Saul, right? In various ways, they're looking to get into your head, be it the neural link, the juicy juice, forming all kinds of neural pathways with the nano robots, right? That form in your mind, right? In your brain, cross the blood-brain barrier to form this circuits that can now be beamed, all kinds of stuff in there. Read your mind and also put thoughts in your mind. You see? So that's him, the wicked elite, playing God. Exactly what it is. And they're being revealed, like it says here. Remember ye not that when I was with you, I told you these things. So he's saying this, well, the Apostle Paul says, and now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. Who is that? The wicked elites that are doing all this stuff. So this is the time they're being revealed. That's why you cannot be ignorant of what is going on. So it's here, for the mystery of iniquity doth already work, even back then. And who are the mystery of iniquity? Well, the Roman Empire. They're the ones in power back then. And right now, you have the rebirth of the Roman Empire, which comes in the way of NATO and the EU, which America is the head of that, aka Babylon. America has become the revival of the Roman Empire. That's why a lot of the stuff in America goes back to the Roman infrastructure, even the way they build the White House and things, right? Even the way your Senate, your two factions, Democrats and Republicans. Back in the Roman Empire day, they had the patricians and the plebeians, right? It says, for the mystery of iniquity doth already work, only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. And then shall the wicked be revealed. That's why he's known as the wicked elites, who are Edomites. See that? And then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Going into when the Lord comes back, what you know as the UFOs, that's how he's going to come back. Our Lord, Yahweh Shai, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And the spirit of his mouth is the prophets that are prophesying the downfall of the wicked and exposing the wicked, right? It says, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, right? That's exactly what they're doing. The wicked elites, they have the left-handed energy. That's why they're able to do these things. You know, sometimes it'd be like, can men really do that? Well, they can. They can. They've been given the power to do so. Like it says here, whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power. So they have power in these things they do. And signs and lying wonders. Because at the end of the day, it's not for your good. Just like you heard Agent Smith talking about, you think it's for your good? Of course not. They're just lying to you. What they want to do is control your mind. That's it. It says, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish. So all this technological advancements, all is therefore is to deceive you, because they've received not of the love of the truth, that they might be saved, right? You should know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Let's close out with this real quick. In Ecclesiasticus, the 19th chapter, go straight to the point. It says, the wicked, the knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom, just like the two clips of Saul, with the using the laptops to beam the blue lights in the laptops to get into your head, and the nano particulates, nano robots that can cross the blood-brain barrier and form some kind of circuits and things like that to control your mind. I mean, it is knowledge, but it is wicked. So that makes it not good, not real wisdom. Why would you want to do that, right? Just because you can do something doesn't mean you have to do it. says, neither at any time the Council of Sinners Prudence. And you have the WEF, World Economic Forum. You have Bilderberg groups. You have, they go to the Davos meetings. They go to all these meetings to talk about this stuffs, how to get in your head, surveillance under the skin. So the counsel of sinners will never be called prudence, and the knowledge of wickedness will never be truly wisdom. And that's all we see in the world right now. So you cannot trust the wicked elites, but you can only trust in the living God, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And with that, all praises to the Most High, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Racha HaKodash. Double honors to apostles and elders of Great Millstone. See you next time, Lord willing. Shalom. Shalom.